Hey there, Jeff Manchester, Manchester Music. Welcome. The last time I made a video on our bass from Waves, I made a boo-boo and I messed up the channel orientation and didn't portray that plugin in the most accurate light. And so what I want to do is go back with the correct channel orientation because I know what I'm doing. I've monoed all of my sound sources. The plugin is now responding to a mono track. We are all in mono, and I want to thank everyone that reached out and told me that I messed up and did something wrong. The other thing that I want to say is that I also got a lot of other comments about Wave's subscription update program, about why I used stuff that I used material-wise for this session and those kind of things too. So if you are new to this R-Bass thing, go watch the other video because there I'll be really going through the guts and ballistics of the tool so that you can really understand why it's doing and how it's doing what it's doing. In this video, I'm just going to focus on refilming the audio examples. So that's what we're going to focus on here. But I want to start by saying to the people, or one person really, who was like, why would you use such a terrible kick drum? Why wouldn't you use something more exciting? I want to respond directly to you in the camera and say, welcome to mixing. You don't always get the best stuff. And as the mix engineer, you're responsible for taking the vision of the band or the artist and enhancing it with your know-how, with your ears, with all of your skills, and really, bring their creativity to light. And that means you don't get the best stuff to work with because you just get what you get. Now, the other thing I want to say is that with this tool specifically, the whole point of our bass is to enhance harmonic content. I guess it's a sub-harmonic enhancer, our bass. So the kick that we hear is kind of dull and flabby and boring for a reason. It is the perfect candidate, in my opinion, to really show this plugin off because the tool, our bass, is designed to really enhance something that's kind of lacking in thump and girth and oomph. So those are the kind of reasons. You don't always get the best material, and when you do these kinds of videos, you want the afters to be perceptible and dramatic so that everyone can follow along and understand, oh, that's what the plugin does. That's what it's doing. I can hear that. So those two things out of the way. I'm going to go through the sound samples again, and then at the very end, I want to actually talk about the update plan because a lot of people brought that up at the beginning of my first video in the comments and stuff like that. And I want to address some of those things because I have some thoughts on the update plan and I want to share them with you. So first, let's go into the tool. Starting with the kick, we are in mono here. I'm going to go over here, bring in our bass mono. Wow, everything is mono. Look at that. So here we have our basic UI, same as last time. We are all in mono. The track is mono, the kick is mono. It's just beautiful. We're all in mono. So here we go. So that is a lot of power and oomph being added to this otherwise very dull sounding indeed bass. Before, turn it on. Now with this frequency slider, I can decide the frequency level from which harmonics are going to be added. To me, this sounds really strong right here in the subsonic area of about 43 cycles. And if I go before and after, I think you'll agree this is a totally different kick sound. We are getting some level, so what I want to do is use some of the tools in the UI to get a nice before and after so that we're not fooled into going, oh, of course it sounds better because it's way louder, obviously. So I'm just taking a look at the meter down here. Oh, minus 10, minus 10.5 or so, minus 9, somewhere in that area. Bring it up. Minus 7, so it's quite a jump. Bring the gain down. So with my gain adjustment on the output slider, I'm getting around minus 10 over here. If I bring this off, let's see if we have another minus 10 over there. So we're more or less gain matched. Turn it on. So that's more or less gain matched. Let's do another before and after, starting with before. Now I can bring up these harmonics even more if I want with this intensity slider, or bring them down. Of course, we have to be careful because we're adding level down here. To me, that sounds pretty good. Before. So I think this is another good example of what this plugin can do. And I think it's also a more favorable before and after than we had in the first video that I did, because I'm really honing in on the subharmonic kind of frequency, 43 cycles, after which to add harmonics, and it sounds like it's a much better kind of fit for it. I think I had it somewhere around 80 or something at the default in the first video. Now let's go over to another mono source, which is a bass track, and I'm going to bring this guy in here too, and let me just zero it out completely. I think we're pretty much zeroed out there. So here's what it sounds like before. And let's bring it in just default. So definitely much warmer. It loses some of its snarl and kind of gnarliness, especially in the top end. So what I might do is look around again in the frequency section and then bring the intensity up and down as needed. I find that when I have it around 55 here, I don't mask some of that top end, upper mid range snarliness, as I'm calling it, and I just enhance what's kind of below. And I think I'm happier with that result than going up here where, you know, I'm enhancing some kind of upper stuff that probably is already present and doesn't really need to be pushed forward even more than it already is. Right there, we get some really low kind of tubby tones before. So really it brings out the bass in the bass. Now again, I'm seeing some gain jumps here. I have a less kind of consistent sound example, so I want to make sure that my gain doesn't travel too much as I try to adjust the gain before and after to get a really good objective comparison. Minus 22, 21-ish. Minus 21 is where we peak. If I bring this in, all right, so another 4 dB of gain that's being added here, which is like a lot. Let's bring this down. Let's split it and say about 3.4. Nice. Okay. So we have a pretty good before and after there, pretty good representation. This is how I might use it. Leave some of that top end stuff alone, enhance some of the stuff around 45. Actually, why don't we leave it here? I think we have a pretty good understanding of what the plugin is doing across those two sources. We have a better before and after than the first video. I wanted to wrap up by talking about the update plan that Waves has, because I'll be quite honest, if you haven't been to my channel before, longtime viewers will know that I never use Wave stuff, but I'm interested in learning why the stuff that is used is so beloved. And so what I'm saying here is, when I first started out in audio engineering 6-7 years ago, I bought a bunch of Wave stuff and I never really used it after that. I got into other companies and other tools. But since getting back into this video series and playing with some Wave stuff and doing the demos and moving forward, I mean, I'd heard about this update plan, which basically means if you want to use your plugins as new operating systems come out and computers get better and smarter and faster, Waves will kind of charge you to have those plugins be compatible with future operating systems and so on and so forth. So you pay for the plugin, often at a discount. Let's face it, every day is Black Friday at Waves. It's about $29. This plugin was $29, but some plugins that are usually about $300-400 are often $29. But what you're really paying for on top of that is the ability to use them as your your computer, your software gets smarter and faster and all that stuff. And I experienced this personally when I was getting those comments and be like, oh crap, my ABs were off, the channel orientation was wrong. Maybe I should make some more videos on some of the plugins that I know and love and not the ones that I'm just discovering. And so I went back to my folder and I realized, oh, all of my plugins from like 6 years ago aren't showing up. And I reached out to them and they're like, yeah, well, you're on version this and you need to be on version that. And if you want to be on version that, you have to pay X number of dollars. When I said I had thoughts on this, it's basically as follows. I think the thing that people forget about is when they get a plugin from any company, not just Waves, not just, could be Kush, could be FabFilter, whatever. You don't actually own that plugin. You own a license to use the plugin. And I guess the reason I'm saying this is, right or wrong, the manufacturer and the company decides kind of like when you'll be allowed to continue using that tool. Most companies just update their stuff. You go to Silicon, they update it. It's free. We're all used to it. Some companies just get rid of plugins altogether and refuse to kind of go forward updating the tool as systems get better and we get new chips and all the rest of it. So you kind of have to stay within a certain system, an older one maybe that's less secure and more vulnerable to malware and all that stuff in order to use the plugins that you love. I know this is really frustrating, and I was definitely frustrated too because it felt like kind of money that I'd wasted. But then I remembered it really is all about the license and you don't really own anything. Now there's another kind of tier, which is subscription, right? And the idea with subscription is you pay into, the company's monthly bill or whatever, and everything stays up to date. Everything is kept compatible. Any new updates that come into the plugin, you get them first, you download them. I'm interested though. I know Slate has a really good one. They were one of the first to do it. I know Waves is dipping their toe in it now. They have one. Seems like everyone has one, even like Universal Audio have one now. But the whole idea of plugins and ownership is just really kind of messy. And I think the only thing that you really own is when you buy a piece of hardware, then it's yours. It's in your studio, probably collecting dust, but it's yours and you own it. We never really have to think about this stuff, do we? This ownership thing until something goes wrong, until something is no longer supported, until something is sunset and we're like, wait a minute, I own that. Well, no, it's a license, and it's very strange to wrap your head around. Thanks for this time that you've allowed me to discursively discuss all these things about Waves, and thanks for being vocal about the sound examples being off. I really, really appreciate it. Again, I read every comment. If there's another video in this series that you'd like me to do, this, why is everyone in love with? Some people have already left some really good comments and some good advice too as to why certain videos in the past didn't really blow up, like the one that I did on, what's the name of it? The RC20 color, which I do see everywhere, and I had to, get it to discover why it's so beloved. It could be that just the population for a Waves plugin is so much greater than one by XLN Audio. So anyway, if there's anything you guys want to see, please let me know. As you noticed, I read all the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.